As crazy of a title it is, it's true. As a person that has partaken in many Qur'an competitions myself, one of the most heartbreaking realizations that I had come to is that these Qur'an competitions, whether locally or even internationally, the ones we see on TV, they are all part of an agenda to colonize the Muslims. It almost feels like it's part of Shaitan's grand scheme. And I vividly remember learning this conclusion. Me and a couple of friends went to a Qur'an competition 2 years ago, and the day after the Qur'an competition, we sat with the Imam after Fajr, and he was given his experiences as a person that traveled across the world in these international Qira'ah competitions. In one instance, he went to Malaysia competing over there. And he remembers this interaction between two competitors. One of the competitors had won the international Qira'ah competitions the year prior and created an alias to join again, just to win again, because there's a lot of prize money up there. Another competitor figured it out and questioned him. The guy under the alias decided to broker a deal and split the money if he wins. So the other person kept quiet and let it happen. This was just one instance. The Imam would also talk about how it breeds materialism and kibr in the heart. He remembers walking out of expensive cars, booking 5-star hotels with bodyguards around him. It's not a feeling that consolidates virtue at all whatsoever. And this wasn't even the primary reason as to why these Qur'an competitions were an active role in colonizing the Muslims. This was just a side point. A book titled 𝗟𝗘𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, written by Dr. 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, has a valuable insight into this. He talks about how these international Qur'an competitions only became very prevalent in the late 1900s, sponsored by these Gulf countries who are pushing it. And if we just zoom out for a second over here and take a look at what's happening, we realize that the entire definition of what a hafil is being redefined by these Qur'an competitions. What does it take to compete in these Qur'an competitions to begin with? You have to have really good tajweed and a beautiful voice to recite with. None of these Qur'an competitions actually test you on your understanding of the Qur'an. And yet this was something that was inseparable from the memorization of the Qur'an throughout Islamic history. And we know this from the statements of the companion, when they would say, we memorized 10 verses of the Qur'an and we would never move on past that until we acted upon what we learned. The tabi'een and the tabi'in would continue this, having Qur'an halaqas, teaching the rules of grammar and teaching tafsir to the general population. And the rest of Islamic history would continue in that tradition. You would never go to a madrasa and only memorize the Qur'an. They would always be memorizing the Qur'an and understanding it as well. Learning Arabic, going through the tafsir as well. It was inseparable. But these international Qur'an competitions we're looking at today have no emphasis at all whatsoever on understanding the Qur'an. It's all recitation and voice. And so everybody is looking in these TVs and on social media and on YouTube and seeing these Qur'an competitions, and they might not even realize it, but in their mind there is a switch taking place. Their entire conception and definition of what a hafil is being completely redefined. And we see it happening en masse. Most of the huffaz today are in non-Arab countries, nor are they being taught Arabic. We have a mass crisis, more huffaz than ever before, but very few who are able to understand it. And the Prophet ﷺ prophesied this already when he said, لا يبقى من الإسلام إلا اسمه ولا يبقى من القرآن إلا رسمه. And the hadith continues till the end. That there will come a time where nothing of Islam will remain except its name, and nothing of the Qur'an will remain except its reading. And though there's some discussion from the muhaddithin, some labeling it Hasan and some labeling it below that grade, today we look at the hadith and we realize, hold on, this is true. This is a prophecy we've seen play before our eyes. Islam only remains as an idea in the minds of people. It's not implemented anywhere. Islam has this entire system, but whenever you look at these Muslim majority countries, they have no problem creating inheritance law from their own desires, opening central banks with interests, among tens and tens of other violations of the Qur'an. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala specifically said the reason He sent down the Qur'an is لِتَحْكُمَ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ بِمَا أَرَاكَ اللَّهُ, to judge between mankind with what Allah revealed. But we have grown far from this understanding due to the colonial process. We need to begin changing our Qur'an competitions around the world to include the understanding of the Qur'an as well. And we must create an entire culture of understanding the Qur'an instead of just memorizing it and reciting it as tones. Look, the Qur'an is the book that had created change like no other within civilization. It took the Arabs that were completely backwards and changed everything about them. Not only their fundamental beliefs and the way they view the world, but even down to which hand they're going to use to wipe themselves with. And just as the Qur'an created this great change back then, this is the very same Qur'an we have with us today. We can create that same change today. but it starts with the understanding. We are undoubtedly living in a time where we have more huffaz than ever before in Islamic history, not only in sheer number, but even in proportionality. And this has not prevented one bit from us facing utter humiliation, not being able to stop the suffering of the Muslims wherever we look. And this is a complete slap to the face of the liberal and simp imams that would like to go on the mimbars and say, we need to focus on ourselves. The ummah is struggling with basic rituals, and therefore we must always talk about the basics of Islam and never talk about the greater topics. We should leave the politics and the great vision of the ummah to scholars behind closed doors. No, that's not the case. The Muslim ummah has power. They are great in understanding, and there's such dormant potential waiting to be unlocked. So let us embark on this journey to understanding the Qur'an. I have linked a Google Doc below to give a general understanding on where to start, but we also have a Discord group below where I'm going to be going through some of the most powerful verses in the Qur'an that I understand when it comes to the revival of the ummah. So make sure to join the Discord link in the below. And if this video was of benefit, make sure to like and subscribe so the algorithm pushes it out to more people and more people can benefit. I mean, this is one of the most crucial topics Muslims need to understand. The Qur'an competitions running right now are an utter wake-up call. So I pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows us to wake up to this reality and adhere to His holy commands. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.